everyone. Yes, I said this year I would not be doing like a 52 platinum challenge or 52 game challenge kind of thing. This year I would be playing games that have been recommended to me by you. Yes, that's what I'm doing. So what I've decided to do is I've put this into like a wheel. I'd spin the wheel and then we would see what comes up. I'll play it and then let you know what I think of it. So with that said, let's spin the wheel. By the way, this is going to be a bit of a continuity error, because I'm recording this afterwards. So yeah, I spun the wheel on the 1st of January and it's now February, so yeah, I'm a bit sick in that, but never mind. Let's see what we got. By the sound of my voice while I'm recording this, you can tell I'm still sick. But it is the 1st of January, so I need to find a recommended game to play. I've decided to go with the wheel method. Sorry, there's going to be jump cuts again because I keep coughing because I still haven't got over this sickness, so it's doing my head in. But yeah, let's find the first game to play. I thought if I was just to go through the list and pick them, it's not fair, so we will shuffle this a couple times and find out what the first game I'm playing is. Hopefully it's good. Blood Will Tell on the PS2. It's a game I've played before, but I've never beaten it. So, yeah, I've already got it. I'll give it a go and give it a review. So yeah, we got Blood Will Tell. Luckily, a game I already own. So yeah, I know what I think of this. I know if I beat it or not. But I'm going to pretend I don't. So yeah, let's run my little tiny review of the game and we'll come back. When this was picked as the first game, I was super excited to play it. I was also even more thrilled by the fact I actually already owned this one, which is definitely a blessing in disguise as this isn't cheap these days. CEX have it currently listed at £130 complete with manual. Anyway, a few years back I started it and only ever played the first chapter. I did really enjoy the game back then, but for some reason I never went back to it. I most likely unhooked the PS2 and was too lazy to plug it back in. That sounds like something I'd do. With this being a pick from Eddie, I was also confident I was going to enjoy it. That or he was punishing me, but we'll just have to see, won't we? In case you don't know what this game is, it's based on the Japanese manga series Dororo, hence the game's full title, Blood Will Tell Tezuka Osamu's Dororo. Hopefully I said that right, I'm going to butcher a lot of words in this. In Japan it was simply just called Dororo. If the name Tezuka Osamu sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you know him from the Astro Boy fame. The story follows the character Hyakimaru, who, for some reason, when he was born, his father offered up the boy's body parts to fiends to be granted the power to bring back peace to the land. His husk of a baby was then just sent off down the river and rescued by Dr. Jukai, who replaced his missing body parts with prosthetic creations. It's a bit like a reverse Pinocchio, I guess. As he gets older, Hyakimaru learns that his bits have been dished out between 48 different fiends, and killing them one by one will allow him to rebuild himself. How does a limbless man intend on going about this? Well, he isn't unarmed. Well, he is literally unarmed, but he does have weapons. Inside his different prosthetic limbs are hidden swords, guns, and even a cannon, which he can use by removing said limb. He can also use swords he finds, but I couldn't ever work out how he actually really used them, as surely he can't bend his fingers to hold them. But never mind, this is just a video game. Maybe this is cleared up in other media, but I haven't read the manga or watched the anime that came out in 2019, but I really want to now. Hyakimaru isn't alone on his quest to eradicate fiends. At the beginning of the game he meets Dororo, a young girl who is happy to remind you on multiple occasions that she's a world famous thief. Might be tooting her own horn there a bit too much with that description though. I think there may be some translation issues, as I swear at points she is referred to as a young boy, but I may have been dreaming this. I played this game in late night sessions and I have way too much footage to go back and find something that specific. I did make a note of it at least though, so it must have happened. Dororo is your AI companion and you give her commands to attack, find items, or look for secrets. Your best bet is to always have her looking for healing items, as you're going to need them. This isn't an easy game. She also has her own health bar and can be killed, but she springs back to life after a short period of time, so it's not a game over. Okay, I've spoke too much about the game without saying what it's most famous for. Well, the game starts in black and white. This is due to Hyakimaru not having any eyes yet. This doesn't last long though, as one of the early fiends will give you back his left eye, and that brings back colour to the world. Not that it's an overly colourful game anyway. It's a bit bleak and washed out looking, but colour's colour, goddammit. I actually don't like the fact that the game warns you about this colour shift. A message pops up saying there's nothing wrong with your TV, but I do imagine this caused a few resets back in the day. This is the most notable way that the game uses missing body parts though, but others include muffled sounds and wavy speech. This is when he has no ears or voice box. As with anything I review, this shit's all over the place with no real structure, but never mind. How does this game play? It reminds me a bit of the Dynasty Warriors games, with a bit of a mild horror spin. It's basically a hack and slash adventure, but it's the way it moves, and the look of the minimap in the corner, which gives me them Dynasty Warrior vibes. The biggest annoyance with the game, and what will get you killed more than you want, is that you don't have free camera control. You have to keep tapping L1 to position the camera behind Hyakkimaru. Holding this will also let you strafe and pull off slight dodging moves, which does come in handy. Luckily, when you're fighting bosses, the camera locks onto them, and it makes it easier to keep an eye on the action. You can toggle this on and off though. I don't think there's any way to lock onto standard enemies, and if there is, I missed it, and this probably made the game way harder for me. Talking of making it harder, it wouldn't be me if I didn't play a game and miss a vital piece of information and royally fuck myself in the ass. A historic example of this is getting all the way to the end of Morbid and the Seven Acolytes, before realising I needed to apply the upgrades I'd unlocked. Well, what did I do this time? It's going to sound stupid, but I didn't realise how to save. Yes, I played this game before, but after you beat a chapter, it lets you save. I just didn't realise how to save mid-level. Last time I must have just made it through the entire chapter without dying. You see, from time to time you run into these umbrella-looking things. These are save points. Problem is, I thought it must have been an autosave situation, or at least a checkpoint. So I played through the entire first chapter and got to the big boss fiend of the level, who just by the skin of his teeth defeated me. This gave me a game over and kicked me back to the main menu. Naturally, I turned the game off then and gave it a few days before going back in. What you're meant to do at these save points is press the start button and choose to save. Playing too many modern games, and the fact it makes a noise at these points really did me over here. It really does sound like it saves, or at least gives you your health back, which it doesn't do either. Talking of health, I really wish you could carry health items in this game, but you can't. You just have to find them on the battlefield. You do find these little green dots though, which if you collect 100 of them, it will give you a 1-up. This will add an extra health bar when you die though. You also collect heart pieces which increase your max health, but this is a very slow process and they don't actually recover anything when picked up. You can force more health and ammo drops by pulling off a specific move. If you hold triangle, your sword will flash. If you let go at this precise moment and you hit an enemy, it goes into a quick time event, where getting this correct allows you to take down an enemy's full health. When you've done enough damage, you press triangle again to finish them off, and this can cause more items to drop. The problem is you can still be hit while doing this, and it's much harder than you think. It does give you a stylish animation if you pull it off though. This is more style over substance, but that's to be expected from the same studio that also brought us Gungrave. I feel like I've been talking forever, and not even mentioned that not only do you play as Hyakkimaru, you also play as Dororo. Each level always has at least one section with her. These are more platforming and puzzle based. Most of these are easy to work out, but the platforming is a right bastard. There isn't any real depth perception, and this caused me to retry jumps into the double digits before I pulled them off. She can also fight and actually packs a good punch. The problem is, her reach is abysmal. You have to be making out with the enemies to even land a punch. Your best bet is to do her flying headbutt style running move. This will allow you to break through the many enemies the game will throw at you. She has other weapons such as bombs and throwing knives, but these are difficult to aim. The game also has a bit of a habit of defaulting back to the unlimited rocks when you've used your last bomb, even if you've just picked up another. These random thrown items are also used in puzzles, and this is never explained at you at all while playing. I worked these out by complete fluke. Early in the game it wants you to knock out a man in a room, but it doesn't even hint that you have to throw a smoke bomb at the door. Where I say this game has light horror elements, it's more the subject matter. It's about hollowing out a kid. Sorry Epstein, not in that way. Yeah, that might have been a bit too far for a joke. Sorry, let's forget I said that. Some of the monsters are also pure nightmare fuel. Look at this rat bastard. That thing could never train the turtles. When I was playing through the game I was taking notes, but they started to pile up. I thought this would be helpful for me to reference when writing this, but I have the handwriting of an arthritic doctor. I say this as after all, this game, which is essentially 48 bosses and waves of annoying smaller enemies which get in your way, a lot happens, and I just wanted to remember it. Note to self, write clearer next time, because I can't read none of this. I'm doing this from memory. These smaller enemies, which are everywhere, also fall into the map with this meteor style animation, which of course damages you when they land. These fights are also supposed to be integral to your progress. You see, the more you use your blade arms, the stronger they become and they level up. For the first half of the game I was trying to kill everything in my path to get as strong as possible, then I realised this seems rather pointless. The further you get into the game, as long as you check every nook and cranny I might add, you will find new swords. These are usually a higher level than your armed swords, so you might as well just use them. They also come with special stats. I found a sword about halfway through, which was way above what I could have spent hours grinding to reach with the sword arms. I then used this sword until the end of the game. Due to this, I spent the later sections of the game just running past as many enemies as possible and just breaking objects looking for swords. I felt it made more sense to try and keep my full health for the bosses than get to a point where I've just saved with a slither of health and have to go up against some barrage of projectiles from a sentient mountain. That's not a dig at a fat enemy. In this game, you fight a literal mountain. When it comes to health conservation, as I said, your best bet is to have Dororo look for items. This isn't just items in the stage, she will also grab what the enemies drop, but again, these still aren't plentiful. As I said, you can force more to drop though with that triangle move, but even then, you don't know if it's something you're actually going to need. To be honest, I barely used the quick time move, well, until later on in the game where this could make or break it for people, but we'll get to that. I feel I've waffled on forever about small bits of the game, but not really said anything about the meat of the game, the 48 bosses. This is genuinely one for the fans of things like Dark Souls or boss rushes. The other issue is though, that not every fiend is mandatory to hit the credits. This does mean you could be off the beaten path searching for some health, then run into some intense boss fight out of nowhere though. Some of the bosses are also hidden behind puzzles or areas which require upgrades. So the game is built around replaying levels as well, which you can do at any time to hunt for missing fiends or just to level up. Luckily the chapter select tells you how many fiends you're missing, and when you kill the final one in that level, it allows you to jump straight back to the menu and save from there. No need to try and find a way out of the level or anything. They do recycle some of the bosses, but they're still a good mix. Difficulty wise though, they aren't created equal. Some you can just stand next to and wail on, but then there's something like the end of chapter 1 boss, which will throw all it has at you. Since you're still new to the game at this point, this might feel like one of the tougher obstacles in the game, but talking of bosses, I need to bring up the final boss. So far I've tried not to put too much late game footage into this video, as it can give away a good chunk of the story, and although it's a bit predictable, I really enjoyed the story of this, and it's what pushed me through some of the frustration. As I've already stated, this isn't an easy game. Well, it wasn't for me. It might be for everyone else. For this to be the first game to come up in this little challenge of playing recommended games, I'm going to have to say I'm now not afraid of a Souls-like coming up on the spin. You see, after you beat the end boss and run the credits, there's still a true ending to unlock. You get this by beating all 48 fiends. I wasn't coming into this challenge to 100% these games. I wanted to just enjoy some of what people thought were games that were must-plays, but my need to see the real ending almost broke me. Hidden within the levels are only 47 of the fiends. I don't know how much footage of this I can put in, as again the story of the game is what shines, so I don't want to ruin anything for anyone. But this final boss might be one of the hardest things I've actually beat in my gaming career. Is it a career? It's not making money. It's just me getting fat. Ah well, it sounds good calling it a career, doesn't it? How this game works is it's broken down into chapters, with 7 main ones and a hidden 8th, which opens on beating all the fiends hidden in these chapters. The last chapter is just a boss fight, which from memory has 4 phases. 4 very difficult phases, but with enough repetition, you will have these down. It's also the only fiend which involves things like actually climbing its body to break weak points. It's not as in-depth as something like Shadow of the Colossus, but it was a welcome change, at first. The issue is, the last phase wants too much from you. For a start, the game has a decent combo mechanic, but you don't really need to know these combos to beat the chapters. But the final boss, in his final form, flies up into the air, then sweeps across the stage, which you have to stop by using combos. You do this to take down all of his health before he reaches the edge of the stage. Fail a single hit, and this means you take damage, and big damage at that. This guy has way too many almost insta-kill moves. I found you could pass this first bit with more of a rhythmic pressing of the square button, but it was still hard. When it falls out of the sky though, it somehow gets harder, because of course it does. Earlier I mentioned that move where you can go into a quick time event if you hold triangle. But when this boss falls out of the sky, it kicks out this fleshy nodule, which the game wants you to slash 48 times. Get it? One for each fiend. So now you need to go into that QuickTime mode to hit 48 correct button presses in a row, also in a very tight time limit. If you fail this, the flying dickbag gets all their health back and you need to start from the combo phase all over again. I pride myself on being good at rhythm games and by extension QuickTime events, and I struggled for about an hour of trying to get this done. This almost single-handedly ruined the entire game for me. It just felt stacked against you for no reason. I have since learned there are swords you can unlock to help with this, and at the time I was trying different combinations of ones I'd unlocked, but even with my thorough scouring of the maps, I didn't find anything to give me any real advantage. I think I almost shed a tear when I finally saw the finish prompt to take this guy down, which by the way, if you're not paying any attention, you can also miss this and reset everything as well. But even with this horrible, almost impossible boss fight, overall what do I think of this game? Should you play it? The simple answer is yes, I really enjoyed it, even if I thought at times I didn't think I'd be able to do it. I'm actually not very good at hack and slash games, but I'm happy I forced myself to keep going. I couldn't fail at the first hurdle, could I? I had to beat game number 1 at least. The game does also have some extra replayability outside of going back for fiends too. There's an unlockable Dororo mode where you play as her for mini missions. I didn't really put any time into these though, as I wasn't really a fan of using her in the main game, but it does have a challenge aspect some may enjoy. There's also a lot of unlockable artwork and movies you can go back for, so as a package it's pretty packed on content. As I mentioned earlier, the only thing stopping me telling you to go out and play this one is simply its price. It's just not an affordable game these days, which is a shame. I do think though it's a perfect candidate for a remake. If they updated this with decent camera controls and a parry system, maybe even make it a Souls-like, they'd be onto a winner. Come on Sega, stop remaking Yakuza games and give us Blood Will Tell again. Sorry if this review feels like it was written by a drunk man. That's because it was. I'm not a reviewer, I'm just a guy who plays video games, enjoys them, and wants to talk about them. Hopefully these ramblings have made you want to give this game a go. By any means necessary, of course. And maybe you now want to know what's coming up next. Because I sure do. I have no idea at the time of scripting this. As I said when I started these recommendations, this isn't all I'm going to be playing throughout the year. I want to be doing these casually, so I don't know when the next video will be out. I have actually beat a few other games while playing through this. I may add talking about them to the end of upcoming pickups videos, as I'm not doing a 52 game challenge recap or anything this year. Plus, if they're at the end of a video, people can easily switch off before then if they want to. Right, I'll shut up. Let's spin the wheel and find out what game is next and whose pick it'll be. So yeah, overall, pretty good game. Quite enjoyed it. It was incredibly hard though, mostly from a couple of bosses. But I forgot to mention there's these tiny little enemies. They're like skulls, like a wheel. They're on fire and they run at you. Those things are a nightmare to try and take down. And they decide to use 2 of them as like bosses. They annoyed the hell out of me because I could never work out the timing to hit them. And if you shot them with your cannon, they do this thing on the floor where they roll around. You'd think you'd be able to hit them, but you couldn't. I don't know, they're a bit annoying. But yeah, it's a good game. Is it worth its value? I probably got, I don't know, 50 quid's worth out of this. So if you find it for that, yes. Over 100, no. So yeah, let's spin that wheel again. Okay, so with Blood Will Tell done, I need to find out what game number 2 is going to be. So we will give this a bit of a shuffle. I think I have removed Blood Will Tell. I think it removed it automatically last time I did this. So let's give it a shuffle and click to spin. What are we playing next? Enter the Matrix on the PS2 or Xbox. I have played some of this before. I played the Xbox version, but I've never finished it. This is being done to punish me, isn't it? Okay, that's what it is. So yeah, the game that was picked from the wheel this time is Enter the Matrix on PS2. Well, tell a lie, I've got this on the original Xbox as well. I tried to find it, don't know what I've done with it. There's quite a few original Xbox games I've looked for in the past couple of days, and I don't know where they are. I think I might have taken them out of the collection and put them in storage, like I have with a lot of stuff. Just because I wanted shelf space back in here. So I probably culled them and kept the PS2 versions for some reason out. So yeah. Also the PS2 is still hooked up from playing Blood Will Tell. So yeah, we will go for Enter the Matrix on the PS2. This was a pick by Nate, who used to have a channel called Game Shack. I don't think he's doing a great deal on social media and that at the moment. But yeah, he's still part of Club 52, so we'll give this one a go, Nate. I have played it before. I streamed it once, the Xbox version. I think it was either on air or on Twitch, I can't remember. And it's not the best game, but he picked it for a reason, and I'm going to give it a go. Hopefully I'll see you in a... I don't know how long these videos are going to take to come out. How long's this game? How hard's this game? I don't know. Right, I'm going to shut up. Shut off? I'm going to shut up. Bugger off. And play this.